Welcome to the 10-Minute Book Guide. Today, we are diving into a novel that is, well, it's truly powerful. It's one of those that really sticks with you.
So can a name save a life, or can it actually condemn one? That question right there is the beating heart of Florence Knapp's incredible debut novel, The Names. And what this book does so brilliantly is it takes this one simple act, naming your kid, and it just blows it wide open into this huge, profound exploration of trauma, of identity, and ultimately, of the desperate hope for a new beginning.
This is what absolutely consumes our protagonist, Cora. And let me tell you, it's not just some passing worry. No, this is the spark that lights a quiet, desperate rebellion. It's a single choice that will echo with devastating consequences through her family's life for decades. Really, for decades to come.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at that one fateful name. Then, the cage of silence it creates. After that, the ripples of trauma that spread out. We'll dive into the book's big idea, what I'm calling the art of renaming, and finally, we'll get to the final verdict.
Okay, Section 1, A Fateful Name. Let's get right into the heart of this thing. The novel kicks off with what looks like, on the surface, a pretty standard disagreement between a husband and wife. Cora's pregnant, and her husband, Gordon, he's just decided, all on his own, that their son is going to be Gordon Jr. Simple, right? Well, for him, it's an honor. For Cora, it's a curse, and that's where everything ignites.
And you have to understand, Cora's fear isn't just, some vague anxiety. It's actually rooted in this really fascinating idea called nominative determinism. It's basically the theory that your name can literally shape who you become, your destiny. So for Cora, calling her son Gordon isn't just about tradition. Oh no! It's about trapping him, condemning him to repeat the exact same cycle of violence and control she sees in his father. The name isn't an identity, it's a cage.
So what does she do? Well, in this incredible, breathtaking act of defiance, Cora goes to the registrar's office and secretly names the baby Bear, a name her little daughter Maya actually came up with. And that name, Bear, it's just this perfect mix of strength and gentleness. For Cora, this is everything. It's not just about a name. It's about protecting her son, it's about honoring her daughter, and it's about clawing back just the tiniest piece of her own self.
All right, on to part 2, the cage of silence. Because, as you can probably guess, a secret like that, it doesn't stay secret for long. And when the truth finally surfaces, whatever fragile piece existed in that house is just gone. It's completely shattered. And this is where the novel takes a turn, diving deep into this chilling reality of domestic control. The whole atmosphere just becomes thick with this quiet, creeping terror.
Listen to that. What's so terrifying about this line is the tone. He's not yelling, he's not screaming. It's a calm, cold, chilling command. And this is something Florence Knapp just nails, showing how control isn't always loud. Sometimes it's this quiet, absolute assertion of power that just slowly, methodically erases you. It is genuinely unsettling to read.
And then, that quiet control just explodes. When Cora's secret finally comes out, the violence is immediate. It's shocking. And this isn't just a flash of anger. Make no mistake, this is a brutal, calculated punishment for that one small act of defiance. The mask, that respectable doctor facade, is ripped away, and we finally see the monster that was hiding there the whole time.
And who's caught right in the middle of all this? Their little girl, Maya. She's forced to become this silent witness, this tiny emotional manager whose entire job becomes keeping the peace. Think about that. She learns to read every single shift in mood, to anticipate every conflict, to do absolutely anything to stop the next explosion. Her childhood, it's not a childhood at all. It's a training ground for survival, and it is absolutely heartbreaking.
Okay, part 3, Ripples of Trauma. This is where the novel's true ambition really starts to show, because the trauma from what happens in that house, it doesn't just fade away. And Florence Knapp does something absolutely brilliant with the structure here to show us exactly how that one act of violence just ripples on and on through the lives of Cora, Maya, and Bear for years, for decades.
So the whole book is broken up into these sections, and each one jumps forward 7 years at a time. It is such a clever way to tell this story, honestly, because it lets us see not just the immediate explosion, but the long, slow burn of trauma over time. We get to watch these kids grow up, but we also see how they are fundamentally, forever, tethered to what happened back in that first fateful year.
And this is where we start to get a glimpse into Gordon's own past, where all this violence comes from. It turns out he was also the victim of an abusive father. And this image of his childhood Russian dolls, with each smaller doll inside painted with the face of a monster. Wow. It's just this incredibly powerful, haunting metaphor for how this kind of trauma gets passed down, nested inside from one generation to the next.
And one of the real strengths of this book is showing that trauma isn't one size fits all, right? It looks different for everyone. For Maya, it shows up as this deep-seated fear of intimacy. For Bear, he's haunted by this feeling of being the murderer's son. For Cora, she just can't bring herself to trust that kindness from someone new isn't just another trap. The book is just a masterclass in showing all the complex, messy, individual ways trauma can burrow into a life.
Which brings us to Section 4, the art of renaming. And this, for me, is the absolute core of this novel. Because look, this isn't just a story about surviving abuse. It's digging at something much deeper, something way more profound than that.
Here's the central argument of the whole book, and it is a powerful one. It says that escaping the abuser, that's only step one. The real fight, the lifelong challenge, is rebuilding the self that was taken from you. It's about figuring out who you are when you're no longer defined by the terrible things that happened to you. It's an incredible question to explore.
And the novel shows this process, this renaming of oneself. And it's not a quick fix. It's not easy. We watch these characters really struggle, you know? They have to acknowledge their past, but not be defined by it. They have to try to choose new identities for themselves, find safety with new people, and just slowly, painstakingly, build a future that is truly their own.
And that's why the title, The Names, is just, it's perfect, isn't it? The whole story kicks off with the literal naming of a baby, but the real journey is about the metaphorical act of renaming yourself. It's about taking back the most fundamental power anyone has, the power to define who you are and what you deserve out of life.
Okay, so we reached the final verdict, the big question. Should you actually read The Names?
So let me be totally clear here. If you're looking for a fast-paced thriller, with a clear good guy and bad guy, this is not that book. The Names is a quiet, deeply empathetic, and really thoughtful character study. It's all about the messy, complicated, painful process of healing. It doesn't offer any easy answers or neat resolutions because, let's be honest, life rarely does.
I want to leave you with this one last image from the book, because it's a moment that has just really, really stuck with me. Years later, Cora happens to see Gordon from a distance, and she notices this tiny little detail, a small soup stain on his shirt. And in that one mundane moment, she sees him for the first time not as a monster, but as just a small, fallible, lonely man. Now, it doesn't excuse a single thing he did, but it frees her. And it is such a quiet, complex, and unbelievably powerful moment of healing.
So at the end of the day, The Names is haunting, yes, but it's also deeply hopeful and it's just masterfully written. If you're the kind of reader who appreciates a deep character dive and you're not afraid of some really tough subject matter, then I honestly cannot recommend this book enough. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest act of courage isn't just to survive, but to actually find the strength to become whole again. This is the 10-Minute Book Guide, your weekly shortcut to deciding what to read next.